Embracing the awakening of impermanence. If you cannot even face death with grace, how can you possibly talk about truly living? When you hear these words, you might feel a slight jolt of unease. Why is that? Because from childhood, we are taught to keep our heads down, build a stable life, work hard for a living, and focus on surviving. Yet, no one ever teaches us how to look death straight in the eye with a sense of calm. This topic seems to carry a heavy taboo, lingering like a dark shadow in the corner of a street. The moment it crosses our minds, we instinctively look away. But where can you actually run? Death is always trailing behind us like a silent carving knife, waiting for the day it finally drops. You keep telling yourself that you aren't afraid of dying, that there is simply no reason to dwell on it. In reality, this self-reassurance often masks a much deeper panic. Most of the time, we drag ourselves through life holding onto a single breath, barely even knowing what it means to truly be alive. It is only when you reach your final moments that you realize, oh, I never fully experienced the taste of life. I never watched a sunrise to my heart's content, never embraced someone with my whole soul, never laughed out loud or cried without holding back. Because of this, you cannot even find the resolution to face death well, let alone live well. That is the hard-hitting question we need to unpack today. Many people reduce living to mere survival, turning their daily routines into a monotonous loop. You wake up, brush your teeth, rush out the door to squeeze into the subway, clock in at work, grab takeout for lunch, drag your exhausted body home at night, stare blankly at a screen until you drift half asleep, and wake up to do it all over again. Day in and day out, this endless cycle is what we call living. Perhaps one day, someone bluntly tells you that your remaining time is limited. Only then do you snap out of it, suddenly realizing how many unfinished things you have left. Shouldn't I have at least tried to do something that makes my heart race? Or perhaps you find yourself regretting why you didn't sooner pursue the things you truly cared about. Yet, the moment most people feel that unsettling tremor, they rush to suppress it, as if by refusing to look at death, they still possess infinite possibilities. Have you ever stopped to think? If every single second is slipping away and you refuse to truly step into the domain of life, how will you ever face that final door? Some might argue that we should cherish the present, stay positive, and avoid being clouded by the shadow of death. But the truth is quite the opposite. The more capably you face death, the more fully you can live. Take the Zen master who treated life as a playful game. He could laugh heartily at a brilliant little blossom, or watch a fallen leaf drift gently to the ground without a ripple of anxiety. When someone asked him how to handle the impermanence of life, the master didn't answer with words. He simply lifted a single leaf high into the air and let it go, watching it float away. You might find this confusing. What kind of answer is that? But he had already expressed his calm detachment from life and death without saying a word. He knew that life was never meant to be forced. It blossoms naturally when its time comes, and drifts away without struggle when it leaves. He held life lightly and released death just as easily. That is the playful wisdom of a master. To him, both living and dying are fascinating experiences. If you want to grasp this Zen insight, you must transform death from a terrifying cliff into a mysterious doorway. What lies behind that door? You don't need to fear it. You only need to stay curious and ask yourself, have I truly lived? Perhaps you feel that reality demands too much of us. How could anyone just drop everything to enjoy life? Don't get me wrong. Nobody is asking you to shirk your responsibilities or abandon the basic mechanics of keeping life running. The point is this: if you spend all your time grinding away without ever pausing to feel the pulse of your own existence, you will ultimately be left with nothing but numbness and emptiness. Many people chase wealth tirelessly, believing that stacking up enough money, real estate, and insurance will finally buy them security. But does it really? You might grind away for decades, finally convincing yourself that you are ready, only to find your body worn out and lacking the energy to chase the dreams that once set your heart on fire. Or perhaps your children have grown and moved on, caught up in their own families, leaving you with little of their attention. The idyllic retirement you pictured might end up as quiet loneliness in an empty house. In that moment, you will discover that you are not only terrified of death, but deeply apathetic toward life, merely killing time. This is what it means to be unable to die well and unable to live well, mistaking the passage of time for actual living while never exploring the true quality of life. Therefore, the first step is not to deliberately ignore death, nor is it to turn into a pessimist. It is simply a reminder that time is not just a long, straight line. It can be cut short at any second. When you bring this subtle awareness to your days, you will be amazed to find that waking up to watch the morning light spill across the windowsill is a brilliant rebirth, and every single breath holds infinite possibilities. While you worry about tomorrow's pressures, you are missing the delicate, vivid textures of the present moment. The scent of the air, the brush of the wind against your hair, a loved one's glance, these can instantly grant you a profound sense of fulfillment. The deeper your engagement, the more miracles you will find in the ordinary, and the more you will cherish those quiet, everyday warmths. Death stops being a sword hanging over your head and instead becomes a force that keeps you awake and deeply grateful. Some might ask, won't living like this make you too high-strung? Won't thinking about death all the time turn you into a nervous wreck? Quite the contrary. Those who truly understand the brevity of life often live much lighter and possess a genuine sense of humor. It isn't reckless abandon. It's simply realizing that petty obsessions aren't worth stressing over. If you lose sleep over some minor annoyance, ask yourself, if you only had a week left to live, would you care about this trivial conflict? You would likely laugh it off and direct your energy toward what truly matters. That simple laugh sets you free. The playful mindset of a Zen master doesn't mean living dissolutely. It means treating life like a fleeting celebration, not taking it too seriously or keeping score of wins and losses. This poise and detachment are the ultimate response to death. You realize life is a game, and when it ends, if you can bow out with a sincere, "Thank you for the wonderful meal," what is there to fear about death? If you are still doubtful, try a small exercise. Imagine you just got a medical report stating you have only 3 months left to live. Your heart is struck with sudden impact. You begin to re-examine how you would spend those 3 months. Would you immediately start learning those skills you've always put off, like playing an instrument, painting, or dancing? Would you spend quality time watching your children smile? Would you finally find the courage to express your deep gratitude and apologies to your partner? Or would you quiet down and finally read those classic books gathering dust on your shelf? Would you write a long letter to an old friend you haven't spoken to in years? Or simply pack your bags for a spontaneous trip? Notice how your body and mind react to this. You wouldn't take these actions because you've suddenly become radical, but because you finally realize how precious time is and refuse to waste it any longer. The point is never that it's too late, but whether you are willing to wake up now. Why wait until you receive a terminal diagnosis to suddenly see clearly? People often assume that maintaining a final chapter mindset will ruin long-term planning. Not at all. It doesn't mean abandoning your plans. It means refusing to get lost in them, or treating planning as the only way to exist. If you are mapping out your life for 5 or 10 years down the road, don't forget to take 30 minutes to sit quietly in a park, feel the breeze, tune into your breathing, or simply admire the faint fragrance of a wild flower blooming unnoticed. You might object, saying, "I don't have time to waste, I have a career to build and bills to pay." True, but you must also recognize that if you trap yourself in endless hustle and stress, you might eventually forget what you were chasing in the first place. That is the ultimate waste, wasting the actual present moment. To reiterate, those who truly know how to live never overlook the seemingly insignificant details, because they know those tiny textures are the petals that form the flower of life. Some worry that an awareness of death makes a person heavy and somber. In reality, it does the exact opposite. It sharpens your sense of priorities, making you lighter and more forgiving. You stop wasting your precious energy on petty arguments, complaints, or endless bickering because you know time is too short. When viewed through the lens of impermanence, you will find yourself deeply moved by a well-cooked meal, bursting into genuine laughter over a barefoot run through the grass, and growing immensely sensitive to the shifts of the world around you. As the saying goes, a child can see the universe in a wildflower and an infinite world in a grain of sand, simply because children haven't yet locked life into rigid, fixed concepts. They approach everything with fresh curiosity. As we grow up, we often lose that innocence, spending our days chasing societal definitions of success and value while mechanically ignoring the most crucial question: how am I feeling right now? Am I actually experiencing this present moment? Society and tradition saddle us with endless expectations. You must succeed, you must settle down, you must follow the rules. These structures aren't inherently wrong, but if you let them trap you so thoroughly that you forget to breathe, that is a tragedy. Some people hustle their entire lives to build a massive house, only to find no laughter inside it, living like strangers with their own families. Others accumulate an enviable external image while feeling their inner world completely flatlined, stripped of passion and purpose. This happens because they spend all their life force chasing institutional checklists, never pausing to ask, is this truly how I want to live? Or am I just checking boxes someone else handed me? The moment death knocks, they realize with horror that they tried nothing, and that their life was just a performance for the outside world. And by then, it is too late for regrets. So, what is the essence of life? The answer varies. Some call it love, others freedom, and others the thrill of the unknown. But the key is whether you actually experience it, rather than just treating it as a slogan. If you have truly loved, you know love isn't just an emotional rush. It is a profound practice of acceptance and inclusion. If you truly crave freedom, you realize its core isn't doing whatever you want, but being free from fear and automatic habits. If you have genuinely embraced the unknown, you find a humbling, breathless wonder in an uncertain world. When you understand these truths, you arrive at a quiet realization that transcends words. To you, death becomes simply another dimension of life, rather than an enemy shadow you can never defeat. Returning to that provocative opening line, if you cannot even face death with grace, how can you possibly talk about truly living? It packs a punch precisely because most people prefer to run from fear, closing their eyes like children playing hide-and-seek. But death doesn't care if you look away. It stands unmoved, waiting for all of us. Cowardice will not make it disappear. If you dare to face death directly, your perspective shifts. Since I cannot avoid this, do I really want to waste another day on meaningless grievances? Do I want to keep carrying unnecessary baggage and regret? With that mindset, you naturally cherish your first breath each morning, appreciating the temperature of the air and the wind on your face. You realize how fragile human connections are, prompting you to treat people with greater tenderness. You gather the courage to speak up when it matters, to hug when you feel the urge. You discover that living in alignment with yourself brings a lightness and satisfaction you've never known before. Furthermore, if you worry this mindset will make you negative, consider the opposite. Letting go of the fear of death strips away most of your daily anxieties. You stop rushing to compete with others because you know everyone walks a different path. You stop wasting energy criticizing other people's choices because your own time is too valuable to squander. You stop obsessing over winning every single argument because in the grand scheme of things, what does winning or losing matter? We will all say goodbye to everything eventually. The only thing we leave behind is the trace of how we lived, not our status or wealth. A person with this balanced inner rhythm is profoundly peaceful. You can see a light in their eyes. They know how to eat well, laugh deeply, and accompany others with full presence. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to be happy every second. Sorrow and regret are part of life. But by seeing through the uncertainty of death, you learn to welcome these emotions naturally. This acceptance is what the Zen masters mean by play, treating even pain as a curriculum of life, walking through it until it purifies and enlivens you. If you want a more practical approach, try asking yourself in the mirror every morning, if today were the last day of my life, would I spend it doing yesterday's mindless routines? If the answer is yes, ask yourself, do I genuinely enjoy living this way? If the answer is no, are you willing to change right now? You don't have to orchestrate a dramatic upheaval overnight. It can start with a micro shift. Instead of mindlessly scrolling your phone or venting frustrations, spend that time talking to your family, or finally sign up for that class you've been hesitating to join. These changes might feel awkward at first, but gradually, you will transform from someone waiting for tomorrow into a traveler who actually feels the pulse of the present. It might not look glamorous, but it will be real. Some might call this attitude reckless, arguing that society requires caution and meticulous planning. Remember, plans are not meant to domesticate your soul. They are simply tools to help you maintain a hunger and wakefulness for the present moment within an orderly framework. When you move fluidly between planning and presence, you leave room for serendipity, for inspiration, for tending to a flower that blooms for only a few days, and for confronting mortality. You might be shocked to discover that death isn't the terrifying part. Living a dull, half-asleep life where you never truly bloom is what's truly frightening. Think about it. Instead of regretting 30 years from now, why not make a change today? You might fail, but at least you tried. At least you honored the air in your lungs. That courage of self-reflection is the true survival skill. When you can say with certainty, yes, I will eventually leave this world, but I want to experience every possible facet of it while I'm here. That seemingly harsh reality becomes your greatest source of fuel. You stop blindly searching for a grand meaning of life and instead experience the meaning of being alive right now. In everything you do, you show up fully instead of just going through the motions. With others, you cherish every micro moment, recognizing both our collective fragility and the magic of connection. When you lie down at night, you might suddenly realize that the feeling of rest isn't terrifying at all. It is a humble, beautiful surrender into the universe. This is what spiritual traditions call living toward death. When you dare to look in death's direction, you realize that life's fierce vitality and its delicate fragility are equally precious. Of course, someone might ask, what if my family, friends, or coworkers don't understand me? You don't need to over-explain or argue. Simply translate your insights into your daily breath and actions. When they see you growing softer, more at ease, and more vibrant, their curiosity will spark. They might initially brush you off as naive or eccentric, but over time, the steady anchor of peace you radiate will touch hearts. Like a tiny, unassuming seed that quietly takes root, your life will speak for itself. True guidance has never come from preaching doctrines, but from embodying a luminous presence. The more genuinely you live, the more you shift the wind around you. You don't need to invalidate those still running the traditional rat race. They have their own lessons to learn. It is enough simply to hold your own awareness and paint your own true colors. Let me leave you with a final question to carry through your days. If tomorrow were your last day on Earth, would you live it the same way? If the answer is no, can you make a tiny adjustment today? Even if it's just offering a word of genuine encouragement to yourself or a heartfelt hug to someone nearby. Don't keep deferring it to a vague later, because you can never guarantee that later will arrive. There is a powerful old saying, knock, and the door will be open to you. That door is always there, but we often refuse to knock, walking right past it. I hope you find the courage to knock on that door, because the richness inside might just be everything you've spent your life chasing on the outside. When you learn to approach every passing moment with a playful, present heart, what death looks like ceases to matter. What matters is that in these fleeting seconds, your existence is vibrant, roaring, and fully alive. If you cannot even face death with grace, how can you possibly talk about truly living? This sentence stings precisely because it pierces through our cozy excuses. Too many people assume they have infinite tomorrows, letting years slip away while drowning their days in anxiety, comparison, and complaints. Then, suddenly, they wake up realizing they missed the entire show, leaving every dream untried and every important word unsaid. That is when the sheer terror of death rushes in because we aren't ready to leave, yet we never really arrived in the first place. The dilemma we avoid is this: the more we run from death, the more desolate life feels. But the moment we look it in the eye, it hands us the power of rebirth. Knowing that tomorrow is never guaranteed means we must live today with utter vividness. It is a paradox that rescues life from barrenness and fills it to the brim. You might still wonder, what is the exact formula for living well? There isn't one. But once you release your paralyzing fear of death, making authentic choices becomes second nature. You stop accumulating regrets because you are constantly completing what matters to you right now. The greatest tragedy in life isn't a lack of opportunity. It's waiting around, hesitant and full of fear, until it's too late to say anything other than "I wasn't ready." When you accept that time is finite, being ready ceases to be an excuse, replaced by the courage to experience whatever comes next. That way, every step you take carries awareness and joy. Even if you stumble, it was never wasted because you actually tried. That state of being is true life, not tearing pages off a calendar or trading your freedom for endless bills. Imagine this. You are sitting quietly on your balcony as dusk rolls in, a gentle breeze brushing your cheek, whispering softly to yourself, "I've had enough. I truly experienced this life." In that exact moment, there is no dread for the future, no lingering regret for the past. You take a deep, grounding breath, and perhaps a single tear slips down your cheek, not from sorrow, but from a profound sense of communion with the universe. If death walks up to you right then, you can smile and say, "Thank you for the wonderful meal," because you tasted every flavor of life without leaving any unsprouted seeds or trapped emotions behind. That is the ultimate response to death. Not resistance or rejection, but an open-hearted acceptance of the next great unknown. As the masters often say, once you truly see through life, you stop fearing death. When you understand what it means to live well, you realize death is nothing more than a punctuation mark, a comma, or a semicolon in a continuous, thrilling adventure. Your family or society might not understand your shift at first, but remember, true transformation always begins from within. The more luminous, loving, and at ease you become, the more those around you will feel it, even if they never say it out loud. You don't need to preach your insights. Your state of being is your only real message. When you remain open and fervent, you are planting seeds of change in the world around you, even without a single spoken declaration. You will gradually realize that when a person is truly awake to mortality, selfishness, calculation, and coldness melt away. We are all just walking through a finite, dazzling stretch of space and time together, neither too long nor too short. So here is my final question to leave you with, stripped of any answer and left purely as a seed. If tomorrow were your last day, would you live like this? Can you look back at today and smile, telling yourself, "Wonderful, I did what I needed to do, I tried what I wanted to try, and I have nothing to regret"? If you can, congratulations, you are already walking the true path. If you cannot, don't beat yourself up. Just pivot right now and stop postponing your life to some imaginary future. Death is not a punishment. It is simply a mirror reflecting the boundaries of our physical limits. And life should never be an endless chore. It should be an exploration filled with laughter, tears, and playful wonder. When you inject this awareness into your everyday life, you set yourself free to experience its true colors. When the time finally comes to turn out the lights, you will be able to step into the next unknown adventure carrying a heart full of stories. If you cannot even face death with grace, how can you possibly talk about truly living? Perhaps those words no longer sting, but instead feel like a warm, gentle prompt. It is time. Right here, right now. Start living, start loving, and start feeling until you can smile back at the final horizon. The end of the road is still far away, but your life is entirely in your hands today. Open your eyes, look closely, listen deeply, and breathe fully. That is the freedom and birthright of every single one of us.